Don't try to sneak into your room like that. I know what you've got behind your back. Records. More new records.
Michael, how are you?
Dave, I'm doing good. How are you doing?
Fine. It's good to see you.
Good to see you too.
Thanks.
It's good to see anybody.
It's good to be seen. Yeah, I know.
So this is the brand new amplifier that you
Yes,
came out with?
330M.
Tell me something. M stands for what?
330 watts per channel, monoblock. So we showed a 320M 2 years ago, and that was more of a dream than anything else. That was envisioned as being more of just a larger version of what we had. This, we actually went back to the drawing board with the design, and everything has changed about it. The tube complement, we're doing things differently, like we're using tubes at the input versus using FETs at the input.
Oh, so it's not a hybrid.
Well, it is still a hybrid because, for example, we are not driving the output tubes with tubes anymore, like 6550s. We're driving them with FETs, but it's giving us higher headroom.
Okay.
And it's more dynamic, and it also allows us to individually bias each tube instead of having to just bias a pair at a time. So it allows us a lot more leeway with the tubes. We're using KT170s. We originally were going to use KT150s, which is a very, very fine tube we use in everything else.
Yeah.
But you have to design really from the ground up with this tube. It's not a drop-in replacement.
And so you did this from the ground up.
Right, yes. And actually we hired 7 new engineers, Valerio did, in the last year.
Wow.
So our engineering staff's the largest ever.
Wow.
One of them actually came from government work, working on tubes and satellites for the government.
It's ironic about that.
Yes, it is, right.
You know, I once got into a fight with Ken Pullman. You know Ken Pullman?
Oh, I know Ken, yeah.
So this is 1990,
right.
I guess this was. And CBS still had a radio network.
Sure.
And so this announcer said, I want to do a thing of CDs versus vinyl.
Okay.
So they invited me on, and Ken was the was the CD guy.
Right.
And I'm a little more quick on my feet than Ken was. Ken's more technically adept, obviously.
Yes.
So it went on, and I was really cleaning his clock. And finally, he had enough, and he said, you know, the Soviet Union is falling apart now, and all of their fighter planes have tubes in them. You know that?
Yes.
Because we got into tubes solid safety. I said, I know it. You know, their planes sound so much better than ours.
Did he laugh? No.
That was the rim shot and the end of the
that was the end of the interview.
Exactly.
Sure. Well, what most people don't realize is that government satellites have tubes in them.
Yeah.
So ours do, and the Russians do, and the other big governments. So we were lucky because this engineer really wanted to work for us, and he actually has created 2 mastering studios and things like that.
Oh.
So he's a pretty brilliant guy.
Great.
Yes.
Did he have to move to Minneapolis? Or
No. He's still living out west in California.
Oh,
which is a good thing. Yes.
Well, everything can be done by remote now. So
exactly. And he comes in, and the good thing is he's a real file. He's a hardcore file.
Oh, great.
So he knows exactly what he's listening to.
Yeah.
And that is hard to find.
That's great.
Yes.
Awesome. Well, I can't wait to hear these things.
So we're very, very lucky. So this really came out in a year. Most new products like this would take at least 18 months to 2 years.
Yeah.
So we're happy, and we've actually delayed the launch to make sure everything works perfectly.
Good idea.
Yes. One of the things, by the way, about this amp is it's not our largest power amp. The 750 still is.
Yeah.
But this amp will actually put out more power in low frequencies than the 750 will. We designed this a little differently to have very, very wide bandwidth power, very high levels. So it could drive anything.
Oh, good.
Yeah.
Okay. I hope to hear at some point. Well, and what's the price of this?
These are going to be $45,000 each, $90,000 a pair.
That's what happens when you double it.
Exactly.
2 times 45 is 90.
Well, we said 90, and someone thought it was going to be 180. So I start that way.
Okay, that's good.
So.
Well, good. Thanks, Dave. Great to see you.
Thanks, Michael. It's good to see you.
All right, so I ran into Franc Kuzma in the hallway here upstairs. I've only seen him at these shows for decades downstairs, but he actually came upstairs, and I asked him if anything was new. And he said there was one new thing to report, so that is?
Well, that is that we've been asked for last 2 years he will be bringing the longer version of Safir 9 tonearm, and we always denied it, but I can confirm we are planning in autumn to bring out the 12-inch tonearm, Safir 12, which have a VT adjustment, but not in the way as a bit 4 points, but slightly different. just to be different.
How much more expensive is it going to be than the
About
90?
30%.
30%. Well, it's that much longer, so that makes a lot of sense.
It's very expensive to make longer Safir.
I'm sure. But it still doesn't have a removable head shield. It's solid. That's fine.
At the moment, we really want to do as rigid as possible
That's
to see
right.
what's the result. We can eventually maybe try to go backwards to maybe make it removable, but
You lose them.
at the moment, we're just so happy with the
I say
results.
anybody who can afford one of those arms can afford two and put one on the back.
Oh, it's very simple. You can Safir, you can also buy 4-point. You can play around with the head shield.
Yeah. Okay. Okay, thank you, sir.
You're welcome.
That was news. And we got it.
Good. I hope you put it on, but I want me to repeat it again.
Okay, here's the Nagra turntable. This is the anniversary version, but there's going to be a non-anniversary version coming soon. This looks very much like your original.
Redo to, but
Yeah.
with elements of the original Keith Monks from the late 1960s. So we now have our own suction pump that we've designed with a medical grade manufacturer and put in this enclosure so we can do that as a retrofit. I have to say that this is a final prototype, Michael, so it's not, some of the fittings are not going to be sort of like, they'll be a little bit more permanent for production.
Right.
But it's here, it's a fact-finding thing to find out from our regulars what they like, what they don't like so much.
How has the interest been? Good?
Yes,
Yeah.
excellent. Two of the more recent distributors that we've signed up because they liked Prodigy, but they were waiting for this. So,
And this is going to sell for how much, do you know?
$4,995 US.
$5,000. Yeah. That's fine. That's fair.
And so we're after the $25,000 turntable customer, of which they are
That's not,
no shortage.
that's not
at the
even a
moment,
lot
so-
for the turntables today, you know?
And electric fluid pumps now instead of the Mini Cooper washer pump,
Yeah,
so
yeah.
a little bit more precise. 12 volt, so one size fits all worldwide. Fluid buzzer, fluid full lamp buzzer arrangement, so warms you when the little thing takes forever to fill up, you know. So, and we illuminated the suction nozzle.
Oh,
Partly, well, quite a lot originally for me, because the lighting in my test workshop is so appalling with the strip light, and if the ambient light through the windows is wrong, I can't see the before and after on the record. So this way, I can actually see that in any light condition, and I did rather think, since our nozzle tips are opaque, I wondered if it might pick it up, and it does. So
and it's very quiet.
very, very quiet.
Yeah.
Yes, we got them to re-engineer the pump head, so it's a 5-head rotary device. So the suction, instead of being whoop up 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 like this, it's a sort of a slow, like a rotary engine. So it slowly builds up that way, and we put a nice hefty brushless motor on the end of it as well. So sort of very smooth running, very quiet, long lasting, of course, being brushless too. So we're after that archives and libraries that we have had such success with, and this machine is going to be the basis.
Okay,
of that.
now this is Mr. TW right here, in case you don't know. Vinyl is dead. Don't you know that?
No, it's not that. No.
Take me to with you.
It's not before I'm dead.
Okay, there's more records. Right. So you know the light that everybody has at shows. It's called the Uber light, and it's infinitely flexible. It's not expensive, and I reviewed it a couple of years ago. This is the man responsible for it, and everybody's got them, right?
A few people.
I mean,
we could probably sell a few more.
they're all over the world.
They're all, yeah, we have distributed, and thanks to you.
Well, I mean, part of it, but I certainly wasn't all of it, I'm sure. So now you have a new light.
We do. We're very happy to announce the new Uberlight frame at Munich High End in 2024. So this is touch control. It's one of the cool features. We can, if you don't want light in certain areas, you can shut them off.
Oh.
And that's not necessarily to save energy. It's just you may only want it on a certain part.
Yeah.
It's brighter than the old light. It has a higher CRI rating, and now we have 6 levels of brightness control, and as well as 3 temperature controls.
Excellent.
So if you want some romance, you want it more like daylight, that sort of thing.
And you have both the clamp-on version
So
and
what we did with this one, we wanted to make it one light, you're finished. It has a clamp, very beautifully designed clamp.
Oh yeah. Oh.
We put Teflon in here so that it slides. So if you have a lid, you can just slide it away.
Yeah.
And there's no bending and being a contortionist with your
Yes.
light. So it's a much more elegant design.
Yes.
The other thing that we do, clamp the same box, base or table mount.
Oh,
So
that's really smart.
If you change your stand from a credenza to a stand like this, you're set.
Yeah. That's awesome. That's a great idea. And how's the pricing on this?
The price. Well, the last party trick is it also comes with this.
Oh. Remote
This is
control.
an IR remote control.
Awesome.
So you can control all the same things: your brightness settings, your temperature, your on/off. This is the really cool party trick. You got a little dust on your stylus. Hey, now I can see it.
Oh. It's multifunctional.
And to charge, no batteries. It's lithium. Snaps in there. Now I'll tell you the price. It's $299 US.
Okay, fair enough. Fair enough. I think
It'll come in
it's
black
white and gray,
and
silver.
white and silver.
$299. I think it's fair. People are going to be using this with turntables that cost, $100,000, $50,000,
Yeah.
$20,000, $10,000, $500. So let's say that you have an inexpensive turntable and you spend as much on the light as the turntable. It's still worth it.
It's a very no complaints from me. Listen, I think it's a beautifully designed light.
It is.
We have a terrific design team, and I think they've done a great job.
I agree. I think they have. Okay, man. I'm going to keep moving.
Available in July or August.
Okay. Okay, now you can see that Acoustical Systems has moved upstairs from the ground floor to the upper floors. You know what? In today's world, it doesn't look that big anymore. That's what's so crazy.
As much as it did in 2016.
It's true.
I don't like what happened to my
When was the last time that you operated this thing?
first. We take
Last
men.
Friday.
Oh. This doesn't look so big anymore. It looks like something reasonably sized and reasonably priced. But you won't make any more.
We are actually delivering one to Hong Kong in July.
Really?
Yeah. Early August. Early August.
Outstanding. I love that. It's a great phone. I bought that. I had to buy that. It's so good.
CH provided us with all the amplification, and AudioQuest supplied all the cabling.
Okay, we're at the Corf booth, corfaudio.com booth, and we're looking at a tone arm, and you are...
I'm Alex Corf.
Makes complete sense. So tell me about this arm and why my friend J.R. Boykler was so excited by something here.
Yeah, it's a continuation of our philosophy of maximum rigidity and best quality of motion. So we take what we've done with our previous tone arms, which had steel arm tube and flexure bearing. I think we are the only ones to use the monolithic flexure bearings. I'll go like this, hopefully it makes any sense. Yeah, and this is what we use for vertical movement. It's absolutely smooth. It has no friction and no stiction. Not just small, no, none.
And what is it made? Is that nylon or what is that?
This is just a model. The actual one is made of steel.
Oh, good, because I was going to say...
No, that's made of steel.
You need to specify.
Yeah, and there are only 2 companies in the world that make them. Both are in the United States. And I had to sign a paper that I'm not selling this to Russia or Belarus or North Korea.
That's good, I like that.
Because I think we are the only non-aerospace customer for them.
Wow. And how did you come upon this company?
We tried to make flexure bearings ourselves because of the advantages, but they're very, very difficult to build.
Yeah.
And I sat on the plane next to a salesperson from this company, and he said, well, I can give you some samples.
Serendipity.
Serendipity.
Yeah.
And here we are. So,
and this is ceramic?
This is ceramic. So the next step going from hard steel to ceramic. And this is an aluminum tube. It's slightly different color because there's a different formulation for ceramic for casting or molding and for extrusion. You have to have some lubricant in there for the tube to extrude smoothly. And this is why it's different color. And there's
is this a removable?
No, unfortunately not. It's the only way to reliably mount ceramic into steel because there's some variation in the thickness.
Yeah.
And it has to be very tightly clamped in.
Okay.
Yeah. And because ceramic is damping a bit less than steel, we had to add mass here. So this is now brass instead of aluminum.
I see. And do you make a 12-inch version of this arm as well?
Not yet. We're making a 10-inch version because many customers want to mount it on a new SP10, for example, or in a Garrard.
Right.
And for that, the 9-inch version just doesn't cut.
My table won't take a 9-inch.
Yeah, you cannot fit this mount. So we made a 10-inch version for them.
So otherwise, I would have to get one of, if I want to review one, if you want to let me review one, I would need that one probably. Or that one.
That's an 11-inch version, again, for the transcription turntables, for the people who prefer their Koetsus, their SPUs.
Right.
It's a bit heavier, and it has a bit more damping in the arm tube itself. And this works better with this. I call them flat earth cartridges.
Right. Yeah. And so the price point here looks pretty reasonable. So this arm here, this TASF 11R is from 2,500 euro?
From 2,500. The premium version is a bit more expensive because it uses a different steel, slightly more rigid, and it also has brass center parts instead of aluminum.
And so you also have spacers, ceramic spacers to raise and lower. In other words, you don't believe in doing anything on the arm itself. You want to keep the arm as rigid.
The spacers are for people who, for example, bought a Riga or a Project arm and want a bit more stiffness in the head shell. Right. Then they can buy this. It's instantly audible. We have measurements on our website that you can check out. Yeah. And the head shell, we are perhaps best known for the head shell.
So that's where, in other words, the spacer goes in the head shell.
Between the cartridge and the head shell, and it just adds rigidity to the whole sandwich.
It also changes your
a little bit, 1.5 millimeters.
And these arms are not adjustable for.
Of course they are.
I'm sorry.
Of course they are. Of course they are.
Okay.
I stole this idea from friend Mark Gomez.
Yeah. And then you can lock this in place.
Yeah. Another interesting thing is that we don't use set screws. We don't believe in set screws. So everything is clamping.
I agree with that.
It gives better geometry and better rigidity.
And you're not doing this.
Yeah.
Okay, well this is very interesting, and this is your turntable too.
This is a prototype. This is unfortunately just a prototype, and it's also static because the controller burned down a few days ago.
Oh, okay. Well, that's
This
fine.
happens with the prototypes.
What's the difference if it's better than someone else at this show made a big advertisement for the new CD player, and it's all over the show, these big signs for their CD player, it won't play any CDs.
Oh, that's a pity.
Yeah.
That's a pity. That can ruin your whole day.
It could ruin your whole show.
Yes. Let me get this out. Yeah.
Oh.
So this is a direct drive.
Oh.
And yeah, we're not reinventing the bicycle. It's very straightforward. The rotor magnets are in here. The stator is, the coils are glued to the PCB from down below.
Right.
And because it's a heavy platter, we don't use feedback. Well, we use it for startup,
and then
and then it's open loop with a feed forward correction.
Okay.
So at the factory, we calibrate this thing. So we know which current to give into the motor at which angle, so that it
As well, I
rotates
figured you
perfectly.
did. And so when you think you market this and finish it, what, you have any projection for the price?
We want to bring it to the market under 4,000.
Oh, that would be very good.
Yeah, without the tonearm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Without the arm.
Without
just
arm.
the table.
Just the table. We will have two versions. This is the 9-inch, and we'll have a longer version for a 11-inch.
Okay. Great. Thank you.
Thank you, Michael.
It was worth fighting all this time to find you. Okay, so Tony Faulkner, we've never met. We've spoken many times.
Many times.
You're a world-renowned recording engineer
Thank you very
for
much.
decades and decades.
Too many, yeah.
Do you want to give some of your credits?
Gosh, I've worked a lot in Munich and Vienna and Paris and all over the place. A lot in London mainly, with the Royal Philharmonic and the London Symphony.
And for what labels did you read?
RCA, I've actually bought the M50s that Lewis Layton used to use for Living Presence.
Oh, wow.
And we'll be using them for the SME music recording.
Let's talk about that. So what is this new project with SME that you're involved with?
Well, it started off with a fascination AJ, the boss, has for Indian music.
Yes.
And that he doesn't like commercial sound quality of commercial recordings of Indian music. And I share his despair, really, because when I hear modern recordings of that stuff, it makes me want to have a curry and order a pint of lager. So he brought over more than a dozen Indian musicians, the top guys from Bollywood, and we recorded some classic stuff in London, in a venue, with a real space, and they all had to sit and listen to each other and sing along, complete takes, straight to half-inch analog studio.
Wow.
Nothing digital in the chain at all. We got an analog desk from Audience, and it took a bit of adjustment for the musicians, especially because everybody now is used to multi-track, digital, plugins,
headphones,
toys, headphones, clicks.
Did they like it? Eventually like it?
They did, yes, and they've been back twice since the first recording we did. And I think the first album, well, it's a twin set, as it were, a double album, has already been cut. Being cut Emil Berliner in Berlin, because they can handle half-inch tape.
Yes.
And then it will be manufactured in the States in Kansas.
Oh, at Chad's place?
Yeah.
Oh, fantastic.
I think it's good because very low surface noise. They have a really good quality attitude.
I put out a record and they did it for me, so.
Yeah, no, they do a nice job.
Yeah.
So moving on, having got the taste for getting Indian music to sound more like live performance, the plan is to do some local jazz in London with a guy called Ollie, who's a friend of mine, pianist. He's got his own group. And then we will do some stuff with the Royal Philharmonic with a conductor called Pete Harrison.
Wow, this is really exciting news.
What I would really like to record, hasn't all been agreed yet, was to do Lieutenant Kijay Prokofiev, because it's not too airy-fairy for audiophiles. They're nice tunes.
Yeah.
It sounds like a film score, lots of colour.
Yeah.
And the real problem for vinyl, I see, just as an outsider, I'm not really an audiophile, is that either you buy material from stuff that was recorded 50 years ago, or else the modern stuff is all digital. It's got digital somewhere in the chain, and that's something AJ wants to avoid.
Right.
So we go straight to half-inch students that he's bought
Excellent. This is
and have a
great.
nice time.
How about some rock recordings?
Well, I don't know how many rock musicians, except in concert, can actually go from beginning to end all together in one go.
That's true.
Live, maybe, but there's nothing scheduled yet. It's a new
One
new
thing
project.
at a time, yeah. So when do
Yeah.
you think the first record's going to be released?
I hope next year, but I don't know.
Yeah.
I'm not involved in the manufacturing chain. I mean, there are issues. You've got to sort the packaging out because
Of course.
it's going to be a premium priced product,
Yeah.
and people are used to paying very little for Spotify. Not audiophiles, but
Right. So does he plan on first marketing this in India?
no. Maybe the first release will be in India, but there are major Indian communities around the world that will have interest in this repertoire. But I think your average German or British listener, unless they're Indian, they'll be interested. It sounds clean and nice, but they won't understand Hindi love songs.
It's not classical Indian, not like when Ravi Shankar used to play.
No,
It's not.
we haven't got Ravi Shankar. He's not available.
No, I realize that.
We've had a sitar in the group. Been doing the music in two categories. One, all Indian instruments, going back to 700 BC.
Yeah.
Although the singer's not that old. And some with Western instruments as well. We had a violin and a cello, Steinway D grand, acoustic guitars.
Sounds great.
I think it will, Will. Yep.
Well, thank you. I'm glad we finally got to meet, and this is meeting up with good news.
Yeah.
So good. So thank you, Tony.
My pleasure. Nice to meet you. After all this time. Oh.
So you made the support system or the isolation system for the big Torrens turntable, correct?
Correct.
And so now what you're showing, you're putting these devices under this enormous loudspeaker.
Yes, there are 350 kilograms or 700 pounds. And these isolators are made for industry application, so they can carry up to 4 tons. But here what we do is we isolate the speakers from the ground, not to have a structural born noise, and these things are very, very powerful. So when you push the speaker, it's not moving at all.
Slightly moving.
Slightly,
But
but
that-
like honey.
Yeah.
Like creeping.
And how do you get them under there? You jack up the speaker and then you jack the speakers up and slide them under?
Slide them up, yes. And when I turn it off, you see how they're shaking?
Oh yeah,
Because it's an isolator.
Yeah.
But you cannot put speakers on a passive isolator. You have to put them on an active isolator.
What if your floor is not exactly perfectly flat?
Okay.
It'll compensate
Yes,
for
yes,
it.
fine.
It'll automatically level.
No, we have to do by hand, but it's fine.
Oh, I see. Okay.
And these are also our systems. Yeah. So this is also isolator from Sizemir. Yeah. So this is our new product.
Oh, very.
Yeah, we designed it specially for audio applications, because before we had these ones, you see, and they were made like for industry applications.
Yeah.
So, but there are like having 8 sensors, 8 actuators, and yeah, so we are able to support very big speakers and also small ones, of course.
Obviously. So like, what does one of those bases cost?
This basis will be like 12,000 euros in Germany, including taxes.
That one there?
Depends on the region you are located. Different taxes apply, and it will be somewhere in this range. Yes.
Right. And there's a brand I never heard of. What is?
Which one is this?
This phono preamp.
Yeah. No, who is this?
From Italy, tube, high sensitivity, high gain, from Capeci Audio. It is a company of Rome.
Oh, I've never heard of this company. Very attractive looking. So this is the turbulent turntable from Italy, and you have that's a teal arm on there.
Teal arm,
yeah.
yes. With that tangential movement.
Yep.
With zero.
Very nice.
And here we have a Faber phono with the water cartridge, the tape, Studer B67. We demonstrated the new tape. Pink Faun in dual mode.
Never heard of that either.
Streaming music.
Okay.
And 01 DAC for the digital analog production.
That's an Italian company too?
Yeah, another company, my partners.
Yeah.
And a snatchiger protector for the electromagnetic noise. And the cables, white gold, to go to the speakers, matte, high sensitivity, 100 dB on 8 ohm from Sigma Acoustics, Italy.
Oh, okay. All right, we're just going to do our last reconnoiter around the show. There's so much stuff here. You concentrate on what you're here to cover, and you have to ignore the rest. And I think I've got everything down. I mean, look at some of this stuff. This is just cool-looking stuff all over the place. You got a Dartzeel set up in here. Oh, I see what you got. Vinyl is dead, you notice? No one's buying any records anymore, so they're all sitting here. We're at the Marriott now, and we are going to walk around the Marriott and see what's going on here. Hi there, let's see what we got here. We have a giant spider. Cool. Thank you. This is a Luxor turntable with a Jelco arm on it. They're now rare and impossible to get because they stopped making them Jelco arm. And there is an old Graham model 1.5. Bob Graham's pretty much original model. This is the phono preamp. These guys are all over the place. They're all over.
Yes, these guys would like to hear our conversation.
What turntable is this?
So this is a CS4 from Japan, TAT2 M2. We have the big CS4 air-bearing arm. It has an air-bearing platter. And here we have the SAEC 4700 arm from Japan.
Yes, I know the arm. I reviewed that arm, in fact. It's a wonderful arm.
And we're playing here the Kiseki Agate.
Oh, it's a Kiseki, an original one or what?
Original Agate out of stone.
And that's probably more collectible and worth more than that optical cartridge.
Yes, I don't sell it. It's in my collection.
Right.
Yeah, and we have the small DS Audio W2 system
Right.
here for the show.
Yep.
It's running to a Solution 757, the emphasis preamplifier.
And that has the
Optical input.
yeah.
Correct.
And how is it a well executed version of it?
Absolutely,
You like it?
yes,
Yeah.
yes, I like it a lot. It also has direct tape head input, and then we're using the conversion audio technologies SL1 Legend Extreme and Black Path flagship, also with the MC phono stage.
Oh, okay,
Correct,
cool.
yeah.
So you're using that one for the optical and this one for...
Yes, correct, yes.
Cool. Okay, great. Thank you. I'll see you at the next show.
Absolutely, Michael. Yeah.